Well, good afternoon everyone, Rod Cullerton again. I just want to give another quick update on matters that are so important because this fight that's been picked by the Australian Electoral Commission against myself, engaging the specialist Australian Federal Police task force called Wilmot. I can't believe it, that apparently was engaged to basically fully investigate myself over filling out a piece of paper. I mean, I'm just wondering what that actually has cost the taxpayer. But anyway, it is a fight that has to happen. And I'm going to take you through it because just so that people get a clear understanding. So what I want to do is, I'm just currently out. It's a beautiful day here in the east, and I just want to take people with me. I have been seeing some great, the Australian people taking action against certain police officers who used to be policemen. But it's interesting, I looked at one and the police officer came out like acted like a bull in the china shop, and he said, you know, you're driving a vehicle, and the young gentleman said, no, I'm travelling. And anyway, so that stopped it there. And anyway, he said, well, if you don't comply with me, I'll suspend your vehicle. Well, if it was me, I'd say I'm travelling in an automobile. And as a matter of right, because basically the Commonwealth is ours, in a sense it's private property, and we have a right to travel right through this self-governing colony, and we don't need to be interrupted by certain police officers who claim to come onto our asset, because at the end of the day we pay for all the roads. So through our taxes we pay for the roads, and these police officers come out and want to tax us more. But let me, and I hope you've got a little bit of time for this, and I'll try and do it the best I can. I'm going to take you for a little wander, just so people have an understanding, which I didn't before I became a federal senator, but this is what we learnt in induction. So we have 3 jurisdictions at law in this great country, and I'm just taking you for a bit of a wander. And I want you to be very clear. This is what I was inducted with while I was in Parliament, to get a full understanding of what my role was as a federal senator. So if I take you, hang on, I better switch the camera. So if I take you up into the beautiful blue sky, that is one jurisdiction. That's imperial law, and that is God's law. Now, that is one jurisdiction. So as I start to bring you down here, this is maritime law. This is another jurisdiction that is recognised for commerce around the world. This is merchant law. So this is where it goes back. If you look at how it all happened, a lot of trade was undertaken on the water. And then we come to the founding law that we were all granted at Federation, which is the law of this great nation called the Commonwealth of Australia. And I'll take you for it, and it's so good. And because while we're here, we're safe. If we get out there, especially when I believe the current is running at 10 mile an hour, we're not safe. That is out, you know, although we can perhaps have a splash out there, but we're not safe. Where are we safe? We're safe right here on solid land. So I'll take you for the journey, and that is pretty much the simple way of working out jurisdiction. So here we are. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring you back to me with a bit of luck. Here I am, still haven't stepped on a snake, although I saw a snake this morning. But look, what I want to show you is what happened to me. I noticed the media haven't retracted any of their false statements in the media, which I'm telling you has caused me serious harm. There is no question the way, and it was really disappointing that the media would would come out so aggressively over this this matter, but it's a very high case, and I can tell you because the allegation is that I falsely filled out a nomination form to run as a federal senator, and they asked me was I in full compliance with section 44 of the Australian Constitution, and I said I'm in full compliance with section 44 of the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution 1900 UK, and it's important to quote the correct act, as it's otherwise, like I said, where is the Australian Constitution? We have the Constitution, there is no question about the Constitution, but we have a Commonwealth of Australia Constitution, and that is what we reserve the rights to do, and this is how we go. But look, I'm going to give you a bit of a show, and the reason why matters must be dealt with now. So I'm going to take you to this, and I hope this there's not too much light on this, but I'll blow it up. So let me take you around to this now. Okay, that is a High Court of Parliament, although that's the Commerce Parliament. It's not under our Constitution, and this is why we need to go. But anyway, that's why I said I was a senator in exile, because I was sitting in the law of the water, which is commerce, and I was not sitting under the law that was granted to us at Federation, which is the land. So here we go. It's a Senate motion, Cullerton, Senator Rodney. Notice it's all in lowercase with a, so we're not, that's how I put it up. Okay, successfully well, it was tabled on the Thursday, 1st of December 2016, and it was, it went to the vote, and you can see there, the ayes were 35, the nays were 28, the majority was 7. Okay, so essentially what happened there was, this is over the alleged bullshit bankruptcy proceeding. I had to go and canvass the Senate and put evidence before the Senate, and they voted that I could never be a person that could be deemed insolvent, and the motion was successfully passed in the House. It was seconded by Jackie Lambie. It's an interesting one because I also made it fairly broad, and that was to call the Attorney General back to the chamber to explain essentially why the Australian government was operating under the law of commerce and not under the law, under common law, being law of the land, which was granted to us at Federation. And so was Pauline Hanson. She was asked to, because they were the ones that Pauline seconded the motion to have me sent off to the toe cutters down at the High Court, sitting as a Court of Disputed Returns. So the issue there is Brandis fled for England. They got rid of Brandis. This is what they're doing. It's like these Australian federal police officers, as soon as I hold them to account or their head of power, where do they derive their head of power from? They just disappear. So I guess the best thing I can describe, and this is no offence, no personal, not being personal, but any person acting for a corporation is no different to a blood-sucking mosquito that breeds in the water, and all they want to do is get on you and suck your blood. And as soon as you put a bit of Aerogard around or give them a swat, there's nothing to them. So that's what we as all Australians must do. And you know, clearly the Australian government is behind this to ruin my good name. I mean, they've definitely taken things past the first knuckle, and to be honest, if they rode me any harder, it'd be out my mouth. But I have to stay strong and make sure that I take this home, because this case is really, really important, because it's going to jurisdiction. And I understand the Australian Federal Police, the reason why these officers have shot for it is because they're trying to take me under the criminal code of 1995, which didn't receive royal assent. I mean, everything after 1973 at a federal level, with what Whitlam did, removed Her Majesty's royal assent. It came under this corporate queen known as Queen of Australia, and that's why a lot of politicians take a corporate oath, because you're electing them at election time as a corporation in the office of. So, and like I've said, I think it's section 5120 of the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act says that governments can only regulate corporations, they cannot create them. And we have been very apathetic, as all people throughout the Commonwealth, to allow this counterfeit government to continue on. So this case is really important because it's against a senator that swore himself to the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900 UK and no other, and bound by that contract, like all of us at Federation, and we have to come under common law, and we have a right to against any person making a claim, and make sure that the jurisdiction is in full compliance to Clause 2 and Clause 5 of the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900 UK. Whether they may have changes from subjects to citizens or whatever, it doesn't matter. We still have a right throughout the Commonwealth, and those rights must be preserved. So let me just take you on here, so just so you know that I'm doing this properly. So there it is. Where are we? The Senate calls on the Attorney General, which was George Brandis, or Senator Brandis, to attend the chamber and clarify this matter. Well, former federal Senator Len Harris is supporting me once a motion is successfully passed in the House. There is a command, it must be dealt with before any other business can go forward in the chamber, because there is an issue of disqualification, and the composition of the Senate may be affected. But I kid you not, that motion has not been dealt with today, so I don't know how anything has been lawfully adhered to since that motion was an unshun estoppel, which means a crowbar in the gearbox, nothing could go forward, and they prevented me from returning back to the Parliament to deal with the matter, and they shut the doors on me. So, and then of course my former brother-in-law wouldn't deal with the motion. He threatened to put me into the Australian Federal Police, but I mean, as it turns out, I'm already there now, so what does it matter, I suppose? But it matters, I guess, a lot, because a lot of farmers would have got their properties back, and we would have come under the laws of the land and stop this tyranny. But look, I'll take you to this now, and this is what I've received, and this is pretty well much a bit concerning, and I'll just blow it up here so that you know. Here we go. We're coming around again. Just hang on a minute. Hello, there's a bit of a character there. Okay, but look at how they've spelt my name. Cullerton, Rodney. Well, that's not my name. And then, all right, yes, I'm born on the 5th of the 6th, 1964. But they got my address as Botany Bay. I mean, I'm not sure why that is. And if I turn around here, it says my eye colour is brown. Well, I suppose you can have a look here. My eyes are blue. So, yeah, and that's not how one spells its name. And, you know, I just wanted to inform you that's where that one goes. So there's some inconsistencies there, but I'll just give you a little bit of a look at the bit of the landscape and the... So what is Australian law? Okay, Australia is a common law jurisdiction. No question, it's a Commonwealth law jurisdiction. it's not a law of commerce unless you become a corporation trading within the, if you're a non-vita individual, okay? So I'm just giving you a look at the beautiful place I'm at while I'm giving this. Its court system having originated in the common law system of English law. Well, that's how I want to be dealt with in this case. And there's an issue with the prosecutors, because the prosecutors are trying to take me to a court that's in commerce, which is on the water, which is not the land. And I'm sworn to be dealt with under common law. Like all of us, we have a duty. So what is law and commerce? It's a double degree which provides a foundation: accounting, finance, economics, management, marketing, a practical knowledge of the Australian legal system. Well, hello, that's what we're operating in, and that's the Australian government up the hill is certainly under commerce. Okay, so the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution provides a government, a legislature, executive and judiciary, and it's a head of power for security of tenure. So what I want to do is I want to be dealt with under the laws that I'm bound to. Clause 5 of our Constitution, our foundation deed of this great nation, binds me to a court of competent jurisdiction, and that has to be under common law. So we first ask any person who makes a claim, straight away we question them. So, okay, there's your claim. Show me your head of power. There can be no presumption in the existence of power. One who grants them must affirmatively show they're making the claim. They've got to affirmatively show that head of power has been granted to them, linked back to, the fountain of justice comes all from the Constitution, and that's the same with a police officer. Just because he makes a claim, they're contracting, and everything's about contract. And you might not think it is, but if I go down to a cafe and I look up on the board and I want a skinny flat white coffee, for argument's sake, it's $5.50. I've accepted. There's the contract. They've made the offer, the acceptance, and I pay the $5.50 if that's what it costs. That's a consideration. So we're contracting all the time. We're contracting with our kids. If you don't make your bed, you can't go to the park and play. That sort of stuff. That is contracting. So contracting is around us all the time, but we need to know when we're being challenged, what is the entity that makes the claim against us, what gives him the power to do so, and in what jurisdiction is he dealing with us in. Because even though the Citizenship Act never also passed the democratic process, they switched us from subjects to put us as citizens, so that would become on floating on a raft on that stream of water out there, when if we'd remained subjects, well, you'd be standing right here. And the reason why I'm doing this live stream is notice to the Australian Federal Police, Australian Electoral Commission, and the courts, obviously, that I stand on land and I'm bound to common law, and I'm sworn to common law, and I'll make sure that anything that goes against me personally as a vita individual does not cause damage to me. So what am I doing with what's happened with the so-called warrant, which I squashed very quickly? I'm sending them an invoice. They have done me serious damage, and I'm sending them all an invoice for what has happened. And I should not have been treated like that. The instrument that they claim to have given to make access or make known to the public was of no legal effect, and as I understand it, it was done under commerce and not common law, so it fell away. So we got rid of that beasting. So all right, that's about all. Do follow what I'm doing.